Hello and welcome again to the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast with me, Errol Lawson, and our very special guest today is the one and only Dr. Cindy Trimm. Now, the economic upheaval of the past 5 years has proven that new and innovative solutions are needed in order for organizations to thrive in the 21st century's global economy. As a result, business, government, and philanthropic leaders alike are searching for a new path forward, creating increased demand for results-oriented coaching, training, and consulting. Thought leader, best-selling author, and empowerment specialist, Dr. Cindy Trimm has risen to the challenge. From poverty to parliament, she has emerged from humble beginnings to become a globally recognized strategic consultant, keynote speaker, and humanitarian. As a transformational leader, she continues to cultivate strategic partnerships with heads of state, politicians, CEOs, and other civic, industry, and world leaders in their quest to strengthen communities and invigorate economies. With over 30 years in business, government, and nonprofit leadership, Dr. Trimm combines her expertise in policymaking, governance, psychotherapy, education, economic empowerment, leadership development, and personal growth, determined to leave a legacy of dignity, meaning, and hope for future generations. Wow, guys, I am so excited, so blessed to have with us in this conversation Dr. Cindy Trimm. Dr. Trimm, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so glad to have you.
Hey there. It's just a wonderful thing to be able to do life with you, Errol, and to be a part of empowering emerging leaders, because the greatest need in society is not for more water or for more food, but it's for leadership. That's the greatest need.
Amen, amen. And I'm in total agreement with you. Guys, if I can say, I first came across Dr. Cindy Trimm many years ago when I first became a Christian, and her dynamic ministry completely just revolutionized my thinking at the time. And so for me, it's an honor to have you here with us. Dr. Trimm, to start with, just give us a glimpse, if you like, into what you're up to in the world right now, and just what you're really fired up about at the moment.
Sure. Well, right now we're pulling together a constellation of industry-specific leaders, and we've developed a foundation that will be able to address a lot of the needs within our world. And so this is a constellation of individuals from, again, different industries, and we're putting our hands and hearts and minds and experience and education together to create a brain share, a trust, so to speak, so that we can tackle a lot of the problems. So where a lot of people are adopting children, I'm adopting countries, I'm adopting cities. And we do have an initiative called Adopt a City, and we're currently working with a number of cities in the United States of America, and then reaching beyond the shores of America and touching a number of other countries that we're interested in seeing an increase in their GDP and GNP, because the greatest wealth of a nation is not the GDP and GNP, but the greatest wealth of a nation is hidden in the hearts and minds of its citizens. And to the degree we're able to empower the citizens and build capacity in the workforce is the degree to which a nation can thrive, progress, and prosper. So that's what we're about right now. My journey started when I was 8 years old. I had an epiphany. I think that epiphany came from God, that let me know that I was responsible for myself and for my destiny. And that's when I started my first business at 8 years old. I tell people poverty was my gift. And I don't have tears associated with my humble beginnings, because you play the hands that were dealt you. And so I was born into abject poverty. We ran out of everything. We ran out of clothes, we ran out of food, we ran out of water. So imagine waking up in the morning and you have no water to bathe in and no water to drink. So that was my humble beginning. We were abandoned by my father. And so my mother single-handedly raised us. And I tell people I grew up in poverty, but I grew up in a stable home. My home was very stable, was very happy. My mother never talked about what we didn't have. She always pointed us toward reaching on the inside and pulling out of our own personal reservoir the things that we need to succeed. So I thank God every day for my mother and for pointing us in the right direction. So when we would say that we wanted to do something, she never said we don't have any money. She would always say okay, and that was it. And so I learned that okay means you could do whatever you want to do, but you'll have to pay for it yourself. And so I started my first business at 8, and I've owned a business since I was 8 years old. And that was my beginning. I also learned how to give back. So in our poverty, my mother taught us how to give what you have. So we worked in our community, worked with the church, helped the older people. So I, at a young age, understood the key to success was in solving someone else's problem and also giving before you ask. Give first, ask second.
Cool. And were you very academic at all?
Oh yes, I'm an avid reader. I'm an avid reader. So I read anything that has writing on it. That includes a box of cookies. If it's got writing on it, I'm good. So I think reading books really shaped and molded my life. And my first mentors were the characters that I read in books. And I read a lot of biographies. And I was touched by Mother Teresa's story, Gandhi's story, Martin Luther King's story. And I think I was attracted to these individuals that I adopted as my mentors. I never had an opportunity to speak to them in person, but they mentored me at a distance, and I was able to extrapolate their wisdom either from their writings or from their biographies. And so I think if a person is trying to discover a mentor, one of the best things that they could do is just read the biographies and histories of great iconic leaders.
So I imagine that there's a big kind of chunk of time here where you've studied and you've gone on to obviously different things. But fill in the gap, how did you become this dynamic speaker, entrepreneur, leader, changing the world, talking about, adopting cities and doing all these amazing things? Like, how did you become that? What was that journey? What was in the middle?
Yeah, 17, I gave my heart to the Lord, and I adopted the principles that were spoken of by Jesus. I took that serious. He's my greatest mentor, so to speak, and the quintessential leader. So I attempt to live the life according to his teachings. So I'm a Christian, and Christianity for me is my life strategy. So that's key, learning how to pray. That's another key. And then believing in myself and really understanding how God speaks to me and taking his instructions seriously. Spending time to develop my greatest asset, which is my mind. And all those things combined really helped. It helped to be able to believe in myself, to trust that what I was sensing was God, and then to discipline myself to pray, ask God for a vision, write the vision, build a strategy around it, build goals with timelines, and then stick to my rhythm.
Wonderful, wonderful. I want to speak to you some more about prayer, but how much did prayer or has prayer played a role in your success up to now? How important has it been?
All of it. Prayer, and not just prayer, action. Because there's a lot of people that pray and pray and pray, but they don't participate in their own success. They're waiting for someone to do something for them. when we have
Yeah.
all the resources that are given to us to fulfill purpose and maximize our potential. They're given to us
So true.
at conception. And
Hmm.
being able to take yourself seriously and to take the Word of God seriously.
You said you learned how to pray. Was there a time when you didn't know how to pray, and then
Yeah,
you
I
you learned
did.
how to pray?
I didn't know how to pray effectively.
Right.
We know how to pray about the problem, but the key to successful prayer is praying also the solutions and praying through
Hmm.
to the answers, and then seeing yourself as a solution and seeing yourself as an answer. So
Hmm.
after you pray, you have to get up and you pray long enough to hear God as well. So there's a part in prayer where you have to be quiet. And
Right.
if you want answers, you gotta sit in prayer and get the answers. And then
Hmm.
to commit it to writing. Most people don't discipline themselves to write. So you've got
True.
to. A short pencil is better than a long memory. So you got to be able to commit things to paper to remind yourself, having a
Mm.
vision, and then watching what comes out of your mouth, and being able to surround yourself with people that have the capacity to carry you to your next.
Mm.
And
Mm.
you know, my friend Dr. Kimbrough, I just left his office, and he had in his office, "Take a millionaire to lunch." A lot of times when we're around people that have what we need, we want them to take us to lunch. But what about investing in
Sure.
our own success, and find someone that's already successful and take them to lunch, and
Sure.
extrapolate wisdom from them? That's another thing that's
Sure.
very, very important.
Sure. So true. Beautiful. Beautiful. And what's been your biggest challenge so far in your leadership journey?
My biggest challenge is not having enough time to do what I want to do. There's only 24
Mm.
hours in a day, and I squeeze every second out of every moment. I'm always thinking, creating, innovating. I'm always challenging myself for the next. But it's time. I wish there were 28 hours in a day and not 24 hours.
Mm. And what did you learn from that? What's a lesson for us as emerging leaders, if you like?
Well, you got to manage your activities according to time frames. So a lot of people have these projects that they want to get involved in. They don't have a start and have a finish date. So it goes on and
Right.
on, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Whatever you're going to do it now. Put a start date
Hmm.
and a finish date, and conduct your life like it's a project. So
Amen.
all of your lives are mini projects. When do you want to start? When do you want to finish?
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Trim. Well, Dr. Trim, we've done over 100 interviews now on the Rising Generation podcast here, and we interview leaders, internationally recognized leaders from around the world, and we recognize that there were 5 things that all these leaders did really well, and we call these the 5 core abilities of highly effective leaders. Hence, the book title, "The 5 Core Abilities of Highly Effective Leaders," which became a bestseller on Amazon. And what I'd love to do is just to go through into our next section here, where we ask you about the 5 core abilities and how you've applied them or how they've shown up in your life. And so the first core ability is the ability to create and communicate a compelling vision. So my question to you is, how have you been able to create and communicate your vision? Where does it come from? Where did you get it from? How have you found it? And how have you then communicated it to your people?
Well, I'm a proponent for vision. I live by a personal vision. I wrote 20-year vision 24 years ago, and I completed everything except one on that vision. I wrote another 20-year vision, and I'm 10 years into a 20-year vision, in which I wrote just 4 years ago. So I'm on my second 20 year. Number two, a vision dictates to strategy, strategy dictates to goals, goals dictate to activities. So during a week, you're able to measure whether you were successful or not by governing those activities according to time frames, which dictates to, of course, your goals. And so whether I'm successful or not is predicated on those goals being fulfilled. And so that's how I live my life. And I consult with a number of people, and that's the first thing I push them to. You got to write your personal vision. Your personal vision will include, of course, your professional goals and objectives as well. So there's 12 areas to write your vision in your life, and then you manage that. And this is how I determine what I'm going to do for the year, what I'm going to write, who I'm going to see, what relationships I'm going to get involved in, what I'm going to do with my personal health. I live my life by vision. They obviously are compelling because I have people from around the world that is not only following me, but I've hired just an amazing staff. They're international. They're from various backgrounds. They live in various countries: Canada, Sri Lanka, Bermuda, Europe, all of the United States of America, the Caribbean. And my staff are just international. And it is because I believe that not only being able to write a compelling vision, but communicate it is what causes people to follow you.
So what's your process of writing it?
Firstly, a vision has to be documented. Secondly, it has to be written in 12 different areas. And when a person first writes their vision, it will take you somewhere between 6 months and a year to actually write an entire vision. From that vision, then you've got to develop strategies. That's where the hard work is, especially if you're an entrepreneur. It's surprising that there are a lot of businessmen, businesswomen, entrepreneurs, and even industry leaders that have sat down to write a strategy. That is the hard work. So a vision, there's 12 components to a vision. There's 9 sections to a strategy. So imagine if you say to a person, if you want to be successful, let's look at writing your vision out in these 12 areas and then writing your strategy out for the 12 areas. That's a lot of work, but that's 75% of your success. You only have another 25% to go, and that's execution. The discipline is being able to sit and pull out of your time. And the challenge is not duplicating another person's vision. That's the challenge.
Wow. So the second core ability is the ability to create and manage wealth. They've been able to create and manage wealth, right? Not just create, but manage as well. What has been
manage wealth.
Yeah. What has been your key to be, or how did you first begin to create and manage wealth in your business? What's been your key? How did you make money?
I learned the art of monetizing everything.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, you've got to be able to, you've got to monetize your thoughts, your time, your products, your goods and services. You got to place a value on it. If you don't place a value on it, no one else will.
I love it. So simple yet so profound, right? There's someone listening right now and they're saying to themselves, you know what? I get that I should monetize everything, but I don't know where to start. Like, what do I do? They're thinking, where do I begin?
Yeah.
Like, monetize what? Like, I don't know what my story is, my value is, my purpose is. I have no idea how to create value for people, to sell anything. Like, where should someone listening right now start when they're thinking about monetizing everything?
Start with themselves. Your greatest asset is you. Who are you? What's your strengths? What's your weaknesses? What opportunities do you see? Opportunities are always found in the middle of problems. So if you can find a problem and you do a pitch and pair, what do I have on board as a person to solve that problem? And then money will follow. But you have to start with yourself. What do I have? Secondly, If you want to develop relationships with key players, iconic players, industry leaders, you have to first answer the question, what do I have on board that can benefit them? You
Sure.
already know what they have on board that can benefit you, but what do you have on board to benefit them?
Right.
If you can answer that question, then you can attract anybody you want into
Wow.
your spheres of influence, anybody. But
Mm.
you've got to be able to see yourself as an individual that either meets a need, solves a problem, or addresses an issue. That's just three. I call it AM. Solve a problem, address an issue, meet a need.
Mm.
And that's how wealth is built.
Wow. 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 Still going a little bit deeper, right? As someone listening right now, they're saying, okay, I get that, but I don't know what I have in my toolkit. I don't know where to begin the journey, the process. I'm trying to give them a bit of a cookie cutter kind of formula. I know it's not easy to do that, but where would they start?
The first thing is they need to know who they are and why they are. That's an issue of identity and purpose, because
Right.
you don't want to be a quotation mark of someone else's purpose or someone else's identity. You want your own identity and feel comfortable with that. Not all of us are called to be entrepreneurs. There are some people whose greatest contribution is to raise healthy children.
Mm.
So you're either going to be an Einstein or the mother of Einstein or the
Yeah.
father of Einstein,
Beautiful.
one or the
Beautiful.
other.
So what they'll
So
get
you're
that.
either going to be, yeah, they know their identity, they know why they are, their purpose. That's where you start with. You start with your purpose. That's
Okay.
hard.
The next thing.
And there are telltale signs. There's breadcrumbs that you can use. You
Sure.
look at yourself and you say, what are my standout qualities? I talk. I'm a talker. That's my standout. I'm a communicator. So that is my standout quality.
Yes.
I'm a thought leader. That's my standout quality.
Okay. So the first thing is purpose.
After you figure out what your standout qualities are, you look around the world and you say, what triggers a strong response? And this is what you call passion. Something that either really makes you happy or really makes you sad. So miseducation makes me sad. Poverty makes me sad.
Mm.
Those are the things that make me sad. So my passion is connected to something that is negative and not positive. And so
Right.
I solve those problems. So it's finding out where your passion is.
Right.
And then once you find out where your passion is, something that either makes you elicits a strong emotional response from you. You cannot be neutral about it. So once you figure that out, you have to start where you are with what you got. I started where I was, and that was in the middle of poverty. And I took myself serious. There was just something on the inside that was speaking to me that I should be doing this. So I just followed those promptings and I put one foot in front of the other. Sometimes you can't see the big picture. Sometimes you just have enough light to see the next step that you take.
Sure.
But you have to decide, where do I want to be? Where do I want to be in the next 5 years? Where do I want to be in the next 20 years? Where do I see myself? And that's vision. Where do I see myself?
Sure.
And then the next thing is finding people that have journeyed, that made that journey. So,
Okay.
it's like, why does a doctor want to study medicine and a scientist want to study the universe and a dancer wants to study dance? Is because there's the potential for it on the inside. So all of us have that potential. It's downloaded in our DNA. Purpose and potential does not scream, it whispers. So you have to silence the voice of everybody else around you. The next thing is to recognize that there is no lack in this world. There are no limitations. The only limitations that are in this world are self-imposed. So whenever you stop imposing limitations, you've got to figure out what is your pace. What is my pace? What is my rhythm? Stick to your pace, stick to your rhythm. And then take 100% responsibility for everything that happens in your life.
Yeah.
I think that was the greatest revelation that I've ever had. And that is, I am 100% responsible for anything that happens in my life, me and me alone. And I learned that at the age of 8.
Wow. It's amazing. It's amazing.
You're either going to watch things happen
Or make things happen.
ask what happened,
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
or make things happen.
Sure.
That's it. So sometimes God hides things from you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he hides things for you.
Yep.
And other things, he hides things in you.
In you.
Look within before you look without.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Dr. Trimm, the third ability is the ability, it's about productivity. It's the ability to focus on the key things and eliminate or delegate the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an app or a process or a tool you use to help you to keep focus and get things done? What works for you?
You're not going to believe this. An old-fashioned calendar. The one that you write in. I look at that calendar every day, and that dictates to everything.
Wow.
I break up my week based on creativity and innovation, fulfillment of a goal, and personal time. So my personal time is my personal time. When it's time to play, I play full out.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's time to work, I work, and I don't get the two mixed up.
Mm. Beautiful.
I use an old-fashioned calendar. It's broad stroked. I look at the year.
Mm-hmm.
I determine based on that strategy, this is what you have to fulfill in this year.
Mm-hmm.
Then I look at the quarter, and I break those activities down in a quarter. Then I look at the month, and then I look at the week, and that week dictates everything. So if a person calls and say, I want to take you out for dinner, I already know that I can either say yes or no.
Brilliant. I
can tell them I'm not going to be able to go out to dinner until September the 18th, 2020. I already know that.
Right.
So that I don't waste people's time, and I don't allow people to waste my time.
Beautiful. And the next core ability is about building a team. It's about teamwork. It's the ability to get the best out of the people you lead, whether they like you or not, right? And sometimes they don't like you or you don't like them or whatever, but still getting the best out of them. What's been your process of building a new team, for developing a team? What's worked best for you? What hasn't worked well?
I think finding the harmony in diversity.
Okay.
You don't want everybody thinking alike. You don't want groupthink.
Sure.
You want to be able to celebrate the diversity that's around you, the perspective that is around you.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is to form trust. So being able to trust one another's opinion, perspective. So I really focus on building trust amongst us, building dialogue amongst us. And the other thing that is important for team building, again, is to recognize the importance of respecting one another's strengths and one another's weakness.
Okay.
So I pitch to your strength, and I complement or compensate for your weakness.
Sure.
So all of us have weakness. So helping the team to figure out what is your weakness, and not seeing a weakness as if it's a deficit. It means that you're good at this, but you're not good at that. Sure. Let's figure out what you're not good at so that we can compensate and complement you in that area.
Sure.
What are you good at? Let's pitch to the area that you're good at. I have a brilliant thinker that cannot spell for the life of her. She can spell.
Right.
We get it. So we compensate, but she's a brilliant ideas, innovative person. So we're not asking her to edit anything, or we don't point out that she made a spelling mistake. The whole team knows she cannot spell, but she can count.
Right.
She can spell, but she's a great individual in operation.
Mm-hmm.
So all of us have weaknesses, and it's okay. But let's find out what your weaknesses are so that we can compensate for that and complement you in that area. And let's pitch to your strength. And so that's how we build team trust, building trust. I mean, you can't have a team without trust.
Sure.
They have to trust me as their leader, but I have to trust them as the team members. I don't micromanage any of my team members. I don't know what time they show up at work, and I don't know what time they leave. I don't micromanage.
Right. But where do you kind of draw the line? Where is there a point where you there's some non-negotiables that you have to do? What do you feel like you have to be?
Honesty.
Okay. But in terms of function,
Accountability.
in terms of function,
In terms of function, the non-negotiables, I think my non-negotiable definitely is strategic planning and execution and accountability. The accountability to one another. We are accountable to one another. And then holding one another to a high level of performance. Raising the bar and then holding each other to a high level of execution. And we just call that excellence.
Wow. Well, how does that happen? How do you hold each other to a high level of excellence, that high standard? I know you have team meetings maybe, but how do you do that?
You know what? Let me tell you, it takes a lot of dialogue. And within your organizations, you have to have core values.
Yeah.
That the entire team understands and embraces.
That's good.
And we stick to that core values, that creates your core values, creates the culture. So we maintain a culture of excellence, a culture of respect, a culture of innovation. We our whole organizations, all of them, are laboratories. And so we give the whole team permission to fail.
Yeah.
Fail at something. And we don't micromanage.
That's good.
Yeah. But ownership is important. Owning the vision, owning the mission, owning everything about it. Owning not only the core values, but our brand. Knowing what the company's brand is and your personal brand is. That's important.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love it. The next ability is about confidence. We've heard of the imposter syndrome, right? It's the ability to defy self-doubt and to still lead with conviction. So what's been your key to building your confidence and not getting stuck in this trap of the imposter syndrome?
Good question. That takes you all the way back to living authentically and being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I think confidence grows out of authenticity. And this is not just for an individual, but this is organizational too. Are you true to who you are, or are you true to who you say you are? And that builds a lot of confidence because you've got a lot of different companies, a lot of different individuals that do similar things. But what is unique about you, and do you have enough courage to put your difference out there?
Mm.
No one wants a look-alike and a sound-alike. They want the original.
It's good. It's good. Thank you. So we're into our quick fire round now, and a series of questions for you. John Maxwell said that the secrets to your success are hidden in your daily routine. What does the first 90 minutes of your day typically look like? The first 90 minutes.
Health. So I have a health routine, water, and lemon the first thing in the morning. So I'm dealing with my mental and physical health. Exercise, prayer, meditation, communicating with my staff, and communicating with my family. That's my first 90 minutes.
Just out of curiosity, like, how do you meditate? What kind of meditation do you do?
Usually the Bible. I love the Message version of the Bible. So I meditate on that. I have a devotion. So I do my personal devotions and meditate on scripture, pray.
Brilliant, brilliant. And what are the key habits that have contributed to your success? What other key habits are there?
Writing. I write every day.
Every day?
I'm an author of a book. Last year I wrote 14 books.
Last year you wrote how many books?
Last year I wrote 14 books.
14 books.
That's a habit. That's a habit. I write every single day of my life.
14 books.
14 personal and professional.
Wow.
I wrote 14 last year. I'm doing
I thought you wrote a book a
about
year.
7 this year.
7. Wow. Wow. I mean, I've written like 3 books here, like, trying to catch up with you kind of thing.
Mm.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Well, writing is cumulative. Writing is cumulative. So I have some books that have been percolating for about 10 years, 15 years. And I write every day. I'm inspired every day. And then one day I say, okay, it's time to pull this from the back burner, put it in the front. But the materials are all already there.
Okay.
Last year was a lot of writing, and I wrote every single month, and I pushed them out, kept pushing them out. This year I'm doing, like I said, about 7 books. And I write libraries. So I've done the spiritual empowerment. I've done the prayer empowerment. I'm doing personal and professional development books. And then I do a self-empowerment. I do an empowerment series. And now I'm turning my heart towards women's empowerment, leadership empowerment, and economic empowerment. So those are the 3 libraries that I'm building out.
And how do the books link to your speaking, coaching, consulting? Do you speak from the books? Is there a link between the writing and the stage, if you like?
Well, the book really is to consolidate the thoughts. In speaking, you only have about an hour. So you can't tell the whole story. So the books are supplements, or the speaking is a supplement to the book, but the book is really kind of like the whole story of a single concept.
Sure.
So I write concepts and try to give my perspective on a concept, the concept of prayer, the concept of leadership, the concept of economic.
And you write every single day?
Every single day of my life, I write. That's my discipline.
That's great.
And I read every day.
Every day?
I read, every single day of my life I read.
What are you reading right now?
I'm reading the biography of Stephen Jobs.
Okay, cool. What's your biggest weakness as a leader?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, what's your biggest weakness as a leader?
My biggest weakness, time, not having enough time to do what I want. So with that, my biggest weakness happens to be my biggest strength, and that's people. And why is that my weakness? Because I think I do believe in people, and I would sacrifice sleep for people. So my biggest challenge is getting sufficient rest, getting sufficient sleep. That's my biggest challenge, and it's because I believe in people. I give people my time.
That's great. And so your biggest strength as a leader then, I imagine it's people, right?
Yeah, my biggest strength is compassion. It's twofold. My biggest strength is to be able to perceive the potential within an organization, within a government, within a country, and within people. That's my biggest strength. My other biggest strength is being able to construct strategy. I'm a strategist. See way down the line, I understand trends, and I can see how to get a person from point A to point B. And if a person doesn't know what point A, where they are, I can help them to figure out where point A is and what point B should be. My biggest strength is strategy. I'm a strategic thinker. I can get anybody, any organization, any country, any person from point A to point B very quickly.
It's great. And do you have a strategy, like a methodology for how you do that?
Yeah.
Can you share that with us?
I think it's more, I mean, you know, I've figured out the 9 steps that a person needs for strategy. But beyond that, intuitive. For me, it's intuitive. I could sit in front of a person, and I'm an intuitive visionary leader, right?
I get it.
So it's like a scientist that just knows, or a mathematician that just knows. I just know. It's a gift. It's a God gift.
Sure. So who have been your top 3 most significant mentors in your leadership journey?
I'm going to give you 5. My mother, my oldest sister, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Mandela, and Winston Churchill, and Steve Jobs. That's 7.
Wow.
And Stephen Hawking.
Wow.
That's 8.
I'm going to dig a bit deeper into all those and ask you then, what's been the biggest single piece of advice you've gotten from each of those people?
Everything is similar. I think the biggest advice that I can extrapolate from all of them is to be able to trust in the person and the resources that God has given you as an individual. The resource of your identity, the resource of your purpose, the resource of your mind, the resource of your temperament, the resource of your personality, the resource of your perspective. Trust what God has given you personally as a resource. All of these people became iconic because they trusted in who God made them to be. And they didn't make an apology for it. There was no apology associated with anything that they did. They didn't ask permission, they just did.
Wow. That's great.
They didn't try to explain it, they just did it.
Mm-hmm. That's great. We're almost done here now, Dr. Trimm. But just tell us, as we begin to round up, what's the one thing you're most fired up about right now?
The one thing I'm most what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, what are you fired up about right now?
What am I fired up about? I'm fired up about adopting cities. I'm fired up about this amazing constellation of thought leaders that are working with me to make a difference in this world. I'm fired up about the mentoring women. This is my newest program, Women Who Shape Our World, Women Shaping Our World. I'm fired up about Trimm Institute for Global Leadership. I'm fired up about our new Board of Regents. I'm fired up about life. I'm fired up about the opportunity that all of us have to make this world a better place. I'm fired up about my books. I'm fired up about being able to leave a legacy for the next generation. I'm fired up about having all of these amazing, wonderful opportunities to travel from country to country and to empower individuals to discover purpose, maximize their potential, to be able to see that Christianity is a life strategy, and it's the best strategy ever because you don't have the hangovers. I'm fired up about everything to do with life. I love life. I love living. My life is like one big birthday celebration after another. I hate to go to sleep. I can't wait to wake up in the morning. I'm fired up about you. I'm fired up about government. I'm fired up about this world that we live in. I see nothing but opportunities, and I get to be a part of something that's so amazing that we call life. I am fired up about life and living.
Yes. Whoop, 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 whoop. I'm in. Where do I sign? God,
I'm fired up about talking to you.
I just love this. I'm so grateful and so blessed to just be able to have this time with you. You're an inspiration, Dr. Trimm.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Trim, and just before we kind of go forward, like, I don't want to skip over one thing. You said that you're working on adopting a city. How does someone adopt a city?
We work with government. We go in, we assess what the needs are, especially with marginalized communities, in marginalized communities where a lot of individuals are living on the fringes of society. And we go in, we assess the region to determine where we can best serve them. And we've discovered that we can serve them by empowering women and girls, by assisting in the educational reformation, and then also to empower them economically by helping them to discover what what they have within that particular community, and then leverage that. Like I said, the greatest wealth of nation is not found in the GDP and GNP, it's found in the citizenry. So we're about empowering each community to be self-sustaining. So we're interested in sustainable cities and communities. And we have, like I said, a group of very skilled and intelligent and educated and experienced individuals that have formed an amazing constellation. And we're going from city to city to do this, and we're very excited.
Do you get to the UK very often at all?
Yes, of course. I'm going to be there in August.
Oh, really?
And I'm British American, so I have to come back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm British American, yeah.
So how did that come about?
So, Bermuda.
Okay.
Yeah. And all of my nieces and nephews are there that are studying. They're studying to be economists and actuarial scientists and doctors. They're all educated there.
Oh, wow. So you're coming here for business or for pleasure?
Yeah, I'm coming for an empowerment event with Pastor Clam, Isamoe, and I'm there every year in August. I'm there. They have a Dominion conference, and it's the first week of August. And you can find out more just going online to find out about it.
Okay, we'll do that, guys. Go check that out online. Wowzers. You're an inspiration. Guys, if you're listening right now, please go and check out Dr. Trimm's stuff. Dr. Trimm, like, how does someone find out about you? Where do they go? Like, they're saying they want to connect to your work, be a part of your team somehow. They want to join your army.
Yes. triminternational.com. And on Twitter, I'm at Cindy Trimm. Facebook, I'm at Dr. Trimm. So they can connect with me in any one of those. Again, Twitter is at Cindy Trimm. Facebook is at Dr. Trimm. And triminternational.com. Make sure there's 2 M's on Trimm.
Wonderful. And do you have a local church that you're a part of? Are you leading a church at all?
Yes. Yeah, I am a part of a church. My spiritual father is Bill Winston, Dr. Bill Winston. So I live in Atlanta. My home church is in Chicago.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Awesome. So is there a resource or an app maybe, or a book maybe you'd recommend?
They can download the app, Cindy Trimm app. They can go on there.
Okay, brilliant.
It's a big C. They can't miss it. Go into the app store.
Yeah.
Everything they're going to need to be empowered. And it's for free.
All the tools there. Oh, cool. All right, guys, go get that. Dr. Trimm, thank you so much for your time today. I just pray God's continual blessing and favor on the work, on the ministry, that God will continue to use you mightily, that God will continue to bless the work of your hands as you have sown and given, that God will pour back into your life. In Jesus' name, God bless you. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you.
Amen. And God bless you so much. Thank you.
So if you're looking for a speaker for your next event or a leadership coach, then I'd love to have a chat with you. Our 5 core abilities process helps leaders to grow in 5 particular areas. The first area is getting clarity about your vision and where you're heading. Number 2 is about developing a team around you, building a team to help you get to where you want to get to. Number 3 is about developing the confidence in order to move forward and to lead with conviction in spite of whatever challenges you might be facing. Number 4 is about creating and managing wealth. So important in your business or personal life. And number 5 is about productivity. We help you to get things done, to focus on the key things and eliminate or delegate the rest. It's all about getting things done. If that sounds like it might be of interest to you, then please drop us a line. I'd love to have a chat with you and explore working together. My email is errol@errollawson.com. Thank you for listening.